Steph Curry just went nuclear on the WNBA, and nobody saw it coming. DiJonai Carrington clotheslined Sophie Cunningham to the floor, got ejected, then jumped on social media calling it white privilege. Cunningham didn't back down in the press conference, and now Curry's stepping in to defend her and Caitlyn Clark by name. This isn't some quiet statement either. He's calling out jealous WNBA veterans directly. Stick around because what he says next might be the biggest thing an NBA legend has said about this league all year. Let me know down in the comments below if you stand with Sophie Cunningham. With 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Sophie Cunningham took off on a breakaway after she went for a steal. Nothing but open floor in front of her. No defender in sight, ball in her hands, easy 2 points coming. Then Carrington came out of nowhere from behind, and instead of going for the ball, she swung her left arm straight across Cunningham's face and neck. Cunningham never saw it coming. She hit the ground hard, couldn't even brace for the fall, and somehow the layup still dropped through the net. This game mattered too. The Fever walked into the United Center at 20-12, fighting for a real playoff seed after dropping 2 tough ones to Minnesota and Las Vegas. Drop this one too, and you're staring at a 3-game skid heading into the stretch run. So this wasn't some throwaway matchup where a dirty play barely registers. Every possession counted. Officials hit Carrington with a common foul on the spot, but once they hit the review, that call got upgraded to a flagrant 2, and she was gone. And here's why. The rule for a flagrant 2 comes down to contact that's unnecessary and excessive against a player who can't protect herself. Referee Maj Forsberg explained it after the game, saying the windup, the impact, and the follow-through all pointed to excessive force, and that the injury risk was too high to call it anything less. He also made a point of saying Cunningham's reaction afterward was fair, given what had just happened to her. Think about what a clothesline actually is in basketball terms. Your arm goes out straight, there's no attempt to go for the ball, and the contact lands directly on the head or neck. That's exactly what the tape showed. Carrington's eyes weren't tracking the basketball at any point, they were locked on Cunningham. One review of the replay put it simply, she didn't even try to make it look unintentional, because she never looked at the ball once. Cunningham's teammates were on her in seconds. She popped up furious, went right at Carrington, and Michaela Timpson wrapped her up fast to keep things from boiling over, saying afterwards she just had her teammates back. Security stepped in, players got separated, and Carrington walked toward the tunnel shaking her head like she didn't believe the call. Now here's the part that says everything. This was Chicago's home crowd, in Chicago's building, and they didn't boo Cunningham. They chanted her name. 16,000 fans who came out to watch their own team turned around and cheered for the player from Indiana because they saw exactly what happened and they weren't about to pretend otherwise. The ejection was earned, the flagrant 2 was earned, and even the building in Chicago knew it. But this wasn't Carrington's first time crossing that line, not even close. Is this really the first time Carrington has gone after a Fever player like this? Not even close. Rewind to the 2024 playoffs. First round, Connecticut Sun against Indiana. Carrington reached in to defend a pass and caught Caitlyn Clark right in the eye, leaving her with a black eye that ended up being the story of that entire playoff series. No foul got called on the play. Carrington later claimed she didn't even know she hit her, saying she was trying to make a play on the ball and just followed through. Then she went on social media afterward and seemed to joke about the whole thing, which is what really got people talking. And that's not the only mark on her record either. In the 2025 season alone, Carrington picked up 3 flagrant fouls in a little over a month. One of them was a hit to Skylar Diggins's head on a fast break. Another one, she went for a steal on Jessica Shepard and ended up hurting her own teammate, Paige Beckers, who had to dive in just to stop Shepard's fall. One analyst pointed out she's been flagged for that exact same play twice in one season, calling her a horrifically dirty player. So when you line up the eye poke, the flagrant fouls, and now the clothesline on Cunningham, that's not bad luck. That's a pattern. And it's not just Carrington either, because the whole Sky team has leaned into physical play against Clark all year. Hard screens, late hits, contact that keeps coming after the whistle's already blown. That style boiled over again in the third quarter of this exact game, when Clark got bumped by Natasha Cloud, stumbled out of bounds, and made incidental contact with rookie official Genesis Perrimond. Perrimond hit her with a technical foul for what she called intentional extra contact, even though Clark was clearly off balance and never even looked at the referee. Fever coach Stephanie White got so heated arguing the call that she picked up a technical of her own, later saying flat out that her tech was for calling it what it was, a bad call on incidental contact from a player flying out of control. Here's why that technical mattered so much in the moment. Under WNBA rules, that would have been Clark's 8th technical foul of the season, and hitting 7 triggers an automatic 1-game suspension. So this wasn't just a bad call on the stat sheet, it was one call away from benching the league's biggest draw. And within 2 hours of the final buzzer, the WNBA rescinded the technical completely, admitting it never should have been called in the first place. So think about what that means. The league corrected the technical fast, but let Carrington's ejection and flagrant 2 stand without any second thoughts. Even the people running the league could tell the difference between incidental contact and an arm to the throat. Not everyone in WNBA media saw it that clearly, though. Cunningham didn't wait around for anyone to jump in and defend her. She walked into that press conference and handled the whole thing herself, no hesitation, no dodging the question when reporters asked her straight up what she thought about the foul. Here's what she said, word for word. Clearly, I think it was like unnecessary. I've never really spoken to her and have no beef with her, but I guess she has some pent-up stuff. So get your expletive off, that's fine. I can take it. She didn't stop there either, adding that she thinks Carrington was chasing attention, since Fever games pull massive national audiences now, and people just want attention, and that's her just trying to get attention. That response landed hard because of how calm it was. No yelling, no finger pointing, just Cunningham laying out exactly what happened and moving on with her night. She wasn't asking anyone to feel sorry for her, and she wasn't playing into the drama that Carrington was clearly trying to stir up. While Cunningham was giving that answer, Carrington was already online. She posted white privilege on Threads and tagged the Indiana Fever directly, then followed it up with August 23rd, the date of the next matchup between the two teams. Reports say she posted this from the locker room within minutes of getting tossed, which means she wrote it before the game had even ended. Fans watching live saw an ejected player turn a flagrant foul into a race conversation in real time, and it didn't sit well with anybody watching. Cunningham shut that down flat too. She pointed out that she got ejected herself last season for a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon and took the punishment without complaint, saying, "This has nothing to do with race. Last year, I did the same thing and I got kicked out, and I deserve to be kicked out. There's no reason even to play that card." That's the whole argument right there. Cunningham got punished for a hard play and owned it. No excuses. So watching Carrington reach for race after getting ejected for a clothesline looked exactly like what it was, a deflection. Cunningham took the high road, and Carrington's own words did all the damage on their own. Fans online moved fast, and the reaction split into two camps almost immediately. One side mocked Carrington outright, with comments calling her out for playing the victim and asking if it gets exhausting being the victim all the time. A smaller group tried to defend her intensity, saying the foul wasn't intentional, but that argument struggled against the replay everyone had already watched a dozen times. Cunningham's composure exposed the excuse for exactly what it was, and the internet noticed within minutes. But while fans were united in calling this out, some voices in WNBA media went the completely opposite direction. Fans online were united tearing Carrington apart, but flip over to WNBA media and you get a completely different story. Monica McNutt and Cindy Brunson both went on air and framed the clothesline as just hard-nosed defense, the kind of physical play that's always been part of the league. McNutt talked about Carrington being a competitor who plays with an edge, and Brunson echoed that same idea, basically telling viewers this was nothing more than a defender playing aggressive basketball. Now go back to the replay. Carrington's arm is fully extended, her eyes never once track the ball, and the contact lands square on Cunningham's head and neck. That's not a hand check or a chase-down block attempt gone wrong. That's a swing aimed at a body part that has nothing to do with the basketball. So when McNutt and Brunson call that hard-nosed defense, they're describing a play that doesn't match anything on the tape. Fans caught that gap immediately and called it a double standard. Cunningham and Clark are the two players pulling in casual viewers who've never watched a WNBA game before, filling arenas on the road, and getting talked about on shows that used to ignore the league completely. Carrington's a 7-year veteran with a rap sheet of flagrant fouls, and here's WNBA media making excuses for her instead of the rookie-era stars actually growing the audience. That's the exact dynamic fans have been screaming about for 2 years now. Established veterans getting protected while Clark and Cunningham take the hits. Brunson's take carries even less weight once you know she'd already been let go by the league before this segment aired. She's speaking as a former employee defending a player against the exact audience the league needs to keep growing, which makes the whole thing land even worse for anyone watching who already thought the coverage was slanted. Charles Barkley and LeBron James had already said their piece before any of this media defense even aired. Barkley called out the cheap shots against Clark on national television months ago, and LeBron posted his support for her directly on social media, both of them siding with Cunningham and Clark long before Carrington's clothesline became the story of the week. So when two of the biggest names basketball has ever produced already spoke up in defense of these players, the question isn't whether someone else steps in, it's who goes next and how much louder they get. Steph Curry's connection to Clark goes back further than most people remember, all the way to her college years when he showed up to support her during the three-point contest buzz that had the entire basketball world talking. Curry's mostly stayed quiet on WNBA drama up to this point, letting other guys carry that conversation while he focused on his own season. That silence is exactly what makes what's coming next different, because when Curry finally decided to speak, he didn't just comment on the foul, he went straight after the league itself. This is the part everyone's been waiting for, because Curry didn't stay quiet for long. Curry's history with Clark goes back to her sophomore year at Iowa, when he showed up in person to watch her shoot in a three-point contest and walked away calling her one of the most impressive shooters he'd ever seen, college or pro. He kept that support going once she got drafted, showing up to games, talking about her on his own podcast, treating her like someone worth paying attention to long before most of the NBA even cared about the WNBA. So when Curry finally spoke up about the Carrington situation, it wasn't some random athlete jumping into a story for clicks, it was someone who's watched Clark's whole rise up close. Curry didn't just say the foul was bad. He went at the jealousy underneath it, calling out WNBA veterans by pointing straight at how players like Carrington have treated Clark and Cunningham since the moment they stepped on the floor. His warning was simple and blunt. Keep targeting the players pulling in the crowds, and you're not hurting Clark or Cunningham, you're hurting the whole league. Curry's logic tracks with everything happening around the sport right now. Clark and Cunningham are the reason casual fans are tuning in, the reason arenas that used to sit half empty are selling out on the road, and the reason sponsors are writing bigger checks than the WNBA's ever seen. Treat those two like targets instead of assets, and you're not just risking a suspension, you're risking the money and attention that's lifting every player in that league, including the ones throwing the elbows. Compare that to what Barkley and LeBron said earlier. Both of them defended Clark in general terms, calling out the cheap shots without naming names or getting specific about motive. Curry skipped that step completely and went straight at the jealousy angle, naming the players and calling out the pattern instead of talking around it. That's a different level of directness than anything the NBA side had said up to this point. Fans reacted fast, and it wasn't subtle either. Comment sections filled up with people thanking Curry for saying what they'd been typing for weeks, with a lot of fans pointing out that a player of his level speaking up carries more weight than anything a WNBA official has said all season. And that's the part that connects everything together, because the league already showed you what it actually believes. It rescinded that technical on Clark within 2 hours. It upgraded Carrington's foul to a flagrant 2 without blinking. The league's actions already lined up with what Curry just said out loud. They just never had the guts to say it themselves. Curry became the validation fans had been waiting on, an NBA legend saying the exact thing the fan base had been screaming into the void for weeks. And now the only question left is what this means for the Fever the rest of the way. Final score: Fever 90, Sky 86. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 27, stretching her scoring streak even further, while Clark finished with 26 points and 11 assists, and Aaliyah Boston grinded out another double-double in the paint. Indiana walked through elbows, flagrant fouls, and a bad technical, and still walked out with the win, a rescinded call, and Curry backing them in public. Let me know down in the comments below if you stand with Sophie Cunningham. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.